Right, Kevin. Jumping into the game, we can see spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner of Akalon Wastes. Our blue Terran player, that is Startail Hack. And of course, his opponent up in the top left-hand corner of the map. That's the red Terran, Evil Geniuses aLive. And Akalon Waste is becoming such a very standard map here in Heart of the Swarm. Easy 3 bases, pretty easy, I'll say, to defend against things like drop play that we see so often in this matchup because it's kind of tucked up. The bases are tucked up into the corners, so there's only 2 real ways to approach. And you know, I think we're probably going to see a pretty standard macro game, but we do see the fast gas already out here for aLive. That's different from what we saw in you know, the games we were watching earlier today, Kev.
Yep, super fast gas indeed by aLive. You know, it is a very easy map to go to 3 bases, but because it's such an easy map, because it's such a macro-oriented map, you see players also often going for those really quick 1-base pushes. And that sounds crazy, but I've seen Hack do this several times. Hack has played a lot of Terrans, by the way, on his way to getting where he is right now. And every now and then he is not afraid to bust out a 1-base build because it comes so quick. Before Stim is ready, before his opponent has any siege tanks, he is able to... he's able to make that kind of stuff work. Well, I'm caught off guard here a little bit, sorry Ben. But for instance, in his group, he was in a group with 3 Terrans. I was actually quite surprised by that result. He was able to defeat Santa 2-1, but he lost to Apocalypse. And now normally I would rate Hack a little higher than Apocalypse. But even in those series, he switched up his builds all the time. But what most of his builds have in common is that he likes to open up aggressive. Whether it's a Banshee, whether it's a quick medevac drop with 1 or 2 Widow Mines, he likes to be aggressive. And well, how many comments on he's going to follow up? That is something that you can only find out if you sky it very thoroughly.
And almost on the opposite foot, you've got aLive, who tends to play a very safe and passive style of TVT, expanding sort of steadily, not necessarily doing the crazy, super fast 3 CC builds that we're so used to, but also not taking any time with his natural or his 3rd base. This time aLive looks like he's mixing it up. He's got that same fast hack that Gas has, and that same fast gas that Hack has. And Hack's going to scout it with this early SCV scout, walks right into the mineral line and sees, hey, you've been mining gas for a little while by clicking on that refinery. And also saw that factory going down already for aLive. Very similar builds for these 2 players.
Yep, so far indeed, very similar. Hack always does this, by the way, always goes for the SCV scout, and he never actually makes a repro or anything. Always just opens up with 1 or 2 Marines and then tries to get a stack down ASAP. We can see the tech lab going down already. What Ben mentioned before, one of his builds that aLive loves to do is just he opens up with the Raven if he thinks his opponent is opening up with a Banshee. Now that of course sounds very logical, because hey, if I think my opponent is opening up with a Banshee or a Cloak Banshee for that matter, sure, I like to go for a Raven too, but it's crazy how often aLive is right. But it's not always, because every now and then you see him game 1 open up with a Raven, game 2 open up with a Banshee. It is hard to predict aLive, and that goes for the same for his TVT. It's not just in his TVT, and perhaps that is what makes him such a successful player.
Yeah, you know, the thing about the Raven is it's never really a bad idea, even if your opponent isn't going for the fast cloak. The Raven gives you other things. Certainly in this meta where Widow Mines are so common, the Raven gives you a tool to use against that. The auto turret, we've said countless times before, Kev, is a great way to kind of muddle up engagements because AI wants to attack those auto turrets before it attacks other units. We can see, though, that both these players are actually getting cloaked this time, so it's not going to be a fast Raven out of aLive. It's going to be fast Banshees for both aLive and for Hack.
That is correct, Ben. And now, of course, the big question is when are those command centers going down? Because we've seen Hack go really crazy in the past, staying on 1 base for quite a while. I don't think that's going to happen this time, though. We do see him open up with a Widow Mine. That's a Widow Mine that aLive doesn't have yet.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit interesting. See if he's able to do anything with it. These Widow Mines are great for defending against Banshees, Kev.
I was wrong. aLive does have his own Widow Mine. And aLive is going to do what I also often say, Ben. You have to put it in the dumbest position possible. Because these players are so smart, they're not going to fall for the obvious mine, so you're going to have to be really stupid with your Widow Mine.
Oh, man, it might actually work. This Banshee's going to go right. Oh, no, with the Widow Mine. Uproots. It almost certainly would have blasted that Banshee out of the sky, but unfortunately for aLive, he unburrowed it at the worst possible time. So aLive's Banshee going to arrive at Hack's base at about the same time as Hack's Banshee is arriving at aLive's. Hack managing to pick off that SCV building these flighty. But Raven pops out just in time, though, to usher the Banshee out.
Talk about mirror builds so far. This has been a mirror from start to finish. Now we do see that command center being delayed a little bit. Interestingly enough, aLive is actually the player who didn't drop a command center yet, but we do see the SCV heading out, and that SCV will start a command center on the low ground. So even though it's a little bit later, the fact that it's on the low ground is gonna make up for it.
Yep, and or will it? As this Banshee is actually delaying that command center being started. Finally, aLive's gonna plant that CC and begin working at establishing his natural expansion. So Hack's going to have his natural up just a little bit faster, and a fast third command center down for Hack as well. So big macro from the Startail Terran.
Yeah. Once more, Hack kind of like aLive as well. It's really hard to predict what he's going to do. He can be extremely aggressive, but in this situation he's actually going to be very macro-oriented. Every now and then we see him playing mech as well. I don't think that's the case this time though. While I said he's going to drop a second factory already, so this might actually be Hack meching. First Hellions in production as well. What is aLive going to do? This is interesting, man. Because I haven't seen Hack do it auto often. He did do it one game against Apocalypse, but it didn't go very well for him.
We're going to have to wait and see just how this does end up playing out. Tanks in production for aLive. He's got his first tank out already, second tank on the way. Hack, on the other hand, is not doing that. He's just focusing on Hellions. So I guess what this means is that aLive should have the stronger defending army, but he's actually pushing right now.
Yeah, this aLive is going to try to go for a quick push. Of course, he has invested less in command centers as well. He only has 2 and his opponent has 3. If he's able to get these tanks up in a good position, he might be able to do something with it. But taking a look on the other side of the map, where are your tanks, Hack? You don't have a single tank yet. Oh my god, this is actually going to get quite dicey.
Widowmine just shot down one of these Vikings. So that's a nice pickup, I guess, for Hack. The Widowmine does end up getting picked off, though. Army supply-wise, this is very even. 29 army supply to 29 army supply.
If he's able to get that siege tank in a good position, this could really slow Hack down quite a bit. The good thing for Hack is that he has 3 command centers. Maybe he can float one to the low ground for a little while. Where is that tank from Hack? Hack's going to need the tank ASAP.
Raven was also shot down, so aLive's cloaked Banshee is going to have to be scanned if Hack wants to be able to do anything about it. Finstrone also going to keep these Vikings busy for the time being. aLive is going to continue to push forward. He's going to be pushing into a siege tank, though, and several auto turrets, so I don't think he's going to want to commit to that. He's just going to back off immediately.
This is extremely good for Hack right now, because Hack has been playing much more macro-oriented. There was a really scary window there for a split second. If aLive would have been able to get his tanks up in a good position, tanks in range of this ramp, for instance, it would have get very dicey for Hack to ever break out. That is not going to happen right now, and I think Hack is going to enjoy a nice economic lead, despite being down 2 workers right now. Still, his third command set is done already. He can catch up with that quite easily, and he can even retake that base a little bit quicker as well.
Yeah, so pretty even game in spite of that. aLive is down in supply, but his third command center is finishing up. He's turning into orbital now. Hack hasn't yet taken that third base. Worker tab shows us 40 to 40, so economically they're neck and neck. It's just that aLive has basically stopped producing units in the midst of that push. He's got the same 29 army supply that he had a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, but of course that was because he tried to usher out those buildings ASAP, or at least get them down, and then make that quick push, and then later on focus on macro again. aLive was not able to accomplish what he wanted with that little push, which puts him in a kind of a rough position. Not over yet, of course. TVT can be very long, very drawn out, certainly once we go down to 3 bases, but he's fighting a small uphill battle.
Yeah, meanwhile, both of these players are going to work on establishing their third bases. We see that Hack has landed his third command center. aLive is floating his third command center. He's just blown down those destructible rocks and is probably going to take out these collapsible rocks as well, just to make sure that he's extra safe. See a couple of Hellions maneuvering around the middle of the map right now for Hack, just trying to establish some kind of map presence, deny a little bit of vision.
I'm not sure where these 2 siege tanks are going to. This is kind of odd.
The siege tank hit squad. You don't see this every day. Yeah, I'm just going to park a siege tank on the Zelnaga towers.
2 of them even. But yeah, both players are just going to macro up right now. You can see +1 is down a little bit quicker for aLive, but I don't think that's really going to come into play anytime soon. I think from this point on, we're just going to see both players macro up for quite a while. Sensor tower even going down already. Of course, going to help out defending against those drops.
Drops and on like consistent entire game commitment to Banshees, things that often characterize the TVT of aLive. But look how crazy this is. He's going mech now. This isn't something that we often see out of aLive. He tends to favor the sort of bio tank play. A little bit of a Hellion run by here in the back of the third base.
Not able to get down a whole lot. Take a look at the amount of work skilled, 5 and 3 throughout the entire game. Of course, the Banshees played a small part in that as well. Heck already having down that 4th command center as well, which is going to turn into a planetary fortress. The barracks from aLive is going to scout it right now. Other than that, aLive has absolutely zero map control. What a bizarre...
Man, Hack has already got 4 bases, Kev. aLive hasn't even started a 4th command center. This is going to absolutely catapult the army supply of Hack to just really... He's going to have so many more units than aLive, and both these players are meching. I suppose if there is a map that really favors mech, it has to be Akelon Waste, because really you only have to control that area at the base of your natural ramp. And beyond that, it becomes almost impossible to attack. And we do see a couple of Hellbats being flown into the 3rd base of Hack. Not going to kill much.
At least delay a little bit of mining time, but at the end of the day we know that Hack is going to be pretty damn rich, so he doesn't have to worry about this too much, as long as he doesn't lose more than few SCVs. I want to say a handful, but handful is already 5. Don't really want to lose 5 SCVs if you're on top of the drop.
If you can hold more than a single SCV in your hand, you are a beast.
Oh. I'm sure there are people out there who can do it, Ben. See, this Medivac was able to get out though. Take a look at the unit composition, the army composition of both players. We see 9 siege tanks on either side, 1 Raven, 6 Vikings on either side, a couple of Hellbats, not too many Medivacs yet. I can imagine we're going to get 2 or 3 more Medivacs on either side, because it's also lovely to drop those Hellbats on top of all those siege tanks. That's one of the things you want to do to make the difference in these fights. It's going to be really hard to attack anyone back to this map.
Big push coming out here for Hack, 155 army supply, or 155 supply to 158 supply. It's 88 army supply for aLive against the 96 of the Hack. So we're going to have to wait and see how this ends up playing out. The Raven with PDD comes forward immediately and just absolutely dominates the air control. But there's no Banshees or anything to take advantage of this advantage that aLive has.
But it's still not. There are Vikings on the map for aLive as well, though, or I mean for Hack. It's going to be 8 against 8. He's going to have to drop his point of defense runes as well. The Viking count is extremely even on either side, so I'm surprised that Hack just gives him all this vision for now. But there are no Medivacs here to be sniped. At the end of the day, yeah, aLive sees what Hack has, but doesn't really mean he wants to do something with it.
Hack certainly has a very... Oh man, there's that PDD going down.
That's actually super smart. He repositioned the tank, so the old point defense room from aLive didn't really come into play anymore. Very cute move here by Hack. Small move, but very cute. This is a very intimidating army, man.
It's a very scary army. 7 Vikings out for aLive, 10 out for Hack, so Hack does enjoy air superiority. He's going to push right forward, and many of these Vikings are... Look at this huge tank line, Kev, that aLive has, a massive spread of siege tanks. Hack, with a couple tanks a little bit too far forward, he's going to lose those. The Viking fight goes in favor of aLive, so he will maintain that air dominance that we talked about, at least for now.
Hack, very smart, once more fell back to his point of defense, was actually able to snipe off 2 Vikings because of that. Now the reinforcements have arrived, and there's still a defensive point of defense run there for aLive. So both players just kind of trading blows on either side. Once more aLive with a superior Viking number, but as long as they are in range of this... Oh, that's a cute little micro there as well.
Point to Disco Wars here, as these guys are trading punches in the skies. This is a couple of Tom Cruise battles going down.
Pretty big adventure right now for Hack, 6 against 3, and 2 of those Vikings actually just spawned. So right now you can say that Hack really has a Viking superiority, or at least air control. He's going to be able to snipe another Viking. 1 Viking will land in time. At the same time, though, we do see a couple of Hellbats being dropped into the main base of Hack.
That's right, chasing away some SCVs, but really not doing all that much damage. Good job by Hack, being very mindful of I guess, his opponent's drop play. And this is turning into a strong contain outside the 4 bases of aLive, but this is also why we said mech's pretty viable on this map. We can see aLive, in spite of the fact that he's contained to these 4 bases, Hack can't really attack him, and when you've got a 4-base economy, do you really care?
It is going to be really hard. Of course, eventually you do want to get some map control on your own. Right now, of course, you're still going to have to dig the position of Hack a little bit more, but it's going to be hard for him to really make something out of it. aLive is just going to be like, alright, I am definitely not going to run into you until I am completely ready to fight. And with completely ready, I mean I have enough... wow! Hack getting a little careless there. 1 or 2 tanks, but he's going to need enough Hellbats to drop on top of those tanks. It is really hard to attack into each other in mech vs mech. It's probably one of the hardest things to attack into. in entire StarCraft.
I mean, that Viking count is so superior for Hack that he's able to just fly right over everything. aLive forced to start building turrets near his siege tanks.
22 tanks right now for aLive against 16 for Hack. Then again,
yeah, how's he going to ever move forward? The second he unsieges and moves, he's going to take massive, massive damage from all 16 of those sieged up tanks. Hellbat's also being brought forward for Hack. I don't know that he's ever actually going to try and attack into this. It might just turn into a sort of constrictor game. Well, you've got 4 bases. I'm going to get 5.
it is kind of weird though how this is being played out, because both players, army is very different, yet army supply is extremely similar. We still see the small Viking lead for Hack. He has 11 Vikings and 7 of aLive, but he's down in siege tanks. He's down in Hellbats, but he has a couple of normal Hellions as well, and he still has a few Marines, I guess, in defensive positions to deal with these Hellbat drops.
Behind enemy lines, holding the Zelnaga tower.
He's like, alright guys, I see something. What I see is
lots and lots of things.
not looking too good. This is going to be an unfair fight when a Hellion and a siege tank are going to gang up against the Hellbat.
I think a Hellbat feels when he gets outmicroed by a Hellbat.
aLive losing control of a couple of Hellbats over here. He's going to lose 3 or 4 over there in the process. He still has plenty of them though. Now this is where it gets really interesting. aLive is going to try to sort of ignore this contain and still take this 5th base, but it's going to be so hard for him to actually defend this 5th base, because hey, if he wants to get units up there, he's either going to have to drop them or run past his little line.
He's even morphing it into a planetary. I don't know if that's a good choice, because a planetary can't float away. Of course, how are you going to float away from a clear Viking advantage is another question. So aLive, well, he's going to be forced to lift it. Hack not wasting any time in denying that expansion attempt. Now this command is just going to fly on. We all float on.
Plenty of sensor towers on the map right now as well, so it's going to get really hard for either player to do something secretly. We can already see Hack is slowly but steady getting ready for that transition into Sky Terror. We see the fusion core going down, a couple of additional starports as well. So ultimately we might see some battle cruisers in Yamato cannons.
Now aLive has got about 11 more SCVs than Hack has. And we've got a situation where both players are maxed out, so Hack's actually got a pretty substantial advantage in that he's got 11 more supply that he can spend on army. Might seem inconsequential, but it can prove to make a big difference in the grand scheme of things.
Once more, apparently aLive lost a couple of Hellbats over here. I wasn't looking at the fight. Now Hack decided that he had enough of those 4 Marines per base protecting his mineral lines, because he's like, hey, you're not trying to drop me anyway. At the same time, this 5th command center will go down. That was kind of inevitable the moment aLive decided to try to land it somehow in a position where he doesn't have map control at all. We see a Tor in production now as well, while the first battle cruiser is already in production for Hack.
Yeah, I think these players are actually just throwing away free supply. Those Hellbats, the Marines being thrown away because they do want to begin their production of things like more Ravens and more battle cruisers.
Still 4 Vikings at a time being produced for aLive. aLive desperately trying to catch up in the Viking count. It's 20 against 21 right now. Of course, Hack is already comfortably mining up his 5th base, and of course those refineries are going to be really important, because they're producing 4 Vikings and getting ready to transition into battle cruisers is pretty gas intensive.
That's absolutely right, Kev. And more Hellions being thrown away. Just walking in right into the tank line. That's Hack saying, hey, I really want to start using all these extra starports I built, as he's able to do 1 more battle.
Yeah, both players just having 2 to 3 Hellbats left right now. Hellbats apparently not going to play a crucial role anymore in this game. Not often you see a mech game where we didn't really see a single successful Hellbat drop, whether it's to kill SCVs or to distract siege tanks.
But in this case, it's just been a line drawn in the sand. You know, Hack has held this position for so long. It's actually kind of crazy. He's just been sitting here saying, all right, I'm gonna create this kind of a contain just at the base of your ramp and just wait here until what, I guess? Until you starve?
Such a ridiculous army supply already for Hack. He's on 148 right now, only 47 harvesters for him on the map. aLive might have been maxed out, but he still has 69 SCVs, which of course is a little too much. If you look at the main, you can see the main is mined out, the natural is running pretty low. His 3rd base, well, he still has quite a bit left. Once more, he's going to try to get his 5th base. There's even a missile turret over here doing quite a bit of damage on this command center. And here comes the Viking squad with plenty of Ravens and a battle cruiser in the mix. Raven advantage in favor of Hack as well.
He's going to go for it, Kev. He's got his tanks positioned. Well, maybe not go for it, but he's going to move up a little bit and just pick off a couple of Hack siege tanks. That's maybe a small victory. Doesn't really advance aLive's position much.
This seems to be slowly but steady turning into an impossible game for aLive to win. He's just been starving out. He just never really had control of the skies, and he's not able to secure his 5th base while his opponent has a 5th base already. He knows the Vikings are out of position. This is actually very smart. Throws down the scan. He will be able to clean up a couple of these tanks. Very well done here by aLive, knowing that the Vikings are out of position. But still, doesn't really make the difference.
It doesn't really gain him anything. Supply-wise, it's still basically a maxed-out army against a maxed-out army. But
Hek has been pretty much one step ahead throughout the entire game. He's always had that one siege tank that he really needed at a moment he had an economic lead, and after that he's always had more Vikings, he's always had his tanks in better control. Now he has 3 battle cruisers on the map as well. He always has 1 or 2 Ravens more than his opponent. aLive, how are you ever going to win the fight? I just don't see it.
It's going to be virtually impossible. And even if he does win a fight, I think it just means that Hack's going to be able to immediately replace his army with more powerful, more gas-intensive units like battle cruisers and Ravens.
It's going to be a beautiful Star Wars fight, Ben. Are you ready for all the PDDs going down? It's going to be like the fight's ready, and then no one takes any damage for a minute, and then alright, the units are actually dying right now.
Alright, let's do it again.
aLive has been played, Hek has played this out beautifully so far.
Yeah, he really has. These players just constantly scanning over the armies of their opponents.
Viking watch shows right now 35 in favor of aLive. The Raven counts even as well, but of course one thing that Hek does have working for him, A, he has a couple of battle cruisers to soak up a crazy amount of shots, and B, these missile turrets are extremely important as well, because even on a moment where aLive might be slightly winning an air fight, Hek can just fall back on his missile turrets, and there is no way that aLive is going to win the fight. That clearly that he's going to be able to idle above the missile turrets. Meanwhile, we indeed saw the suicidal turret. A couple of Hellions killing a few SCVs, but that's not something for aLive to truly worry about. He has plenty of minerals and he still has plenty of works as well. His biggest problem is still that he's on 4 bases. This campaign has been going on for a solid 18 minutes now, because at the 12-minute mark this campaign was already here. Right now we're 18 minutes later, it's still there, but now Hek does have a 6th base as well. Hek has played this out beautifully, and I don't really see how aLive is going to turn this around, unless he lands a couple of crazy Seeker missiles, perhaps.
Maybe Seeker missiles, maybe... I mean, this is still one of those situations where if either side manages to overwhelmingly win a fight, maybe you can roll across the map and win before your opponent's able to rebuild, but it's going to be oh so hard, because, I mean, Hack's position is just phenomenal. Well, we've seen these late-game TVTs before, though, Kev, where one player does just perform better in the fight. I mean, look at this line of Air Force,
everything.
just a flotilla, battle cruisers, Ravens, and Vikings, and it's just kind of patrolling over the tank line.
Upgrades are very even, I believe, on both sides. I think both Vikings are on 2-2, 3-3s on the way, so that is even. But these missile turrets are so important, those battle cruisers are so important.
aLive trying to do here, he's maneuvered around the outside, and he's trying to go and find an opening or something. I don't know where he thinks he's going to go.
He has 13 Vikings more though, Ben. Here come all the PDDs, Seeker missiles!
Oh, so many Seeker missiles, and Hack's going to stack up. Can he get out of range? I don't think he can. Massive splitting by Hack, but that's a good fight for aLive, who, actually, I don't know if it's going to be good enough, as aLive also takes a ton of